Hey guys, it's Taiga Phoenix here to bring you my Cardfight Vanguard Overdress deck profile for the Overdress deck, or Nirvana, or the Virina deck, or Trickstar deck, whatever you want to call it. But it's the Overdress deck of Vanguard Overdress. So I'm here to show you guys my deck profile. I've been doing okay in tournaments. This deck again is not the strongest deck in the set, but is my favorite to play. It is really powerful. It can hit out really good numbers. Next set 2, when we get it, we'll have multi-attack, but that'll be cool. But for right now, just hitting big numbers, and I love the interesting way of overdressing over units. I've been waiting for Dragon Empire to be a main character clan, and finally, it looks like this is it. It's the main character clan, but it's kind of very, the main character's kind of iffy, but, I like the deck. But anyway, let's get down to what we have now as our ride deck. So, as you know, in Overdress, we're allowed to have 4 cards outside of our main deck that will count as a ride deck. They still count towards your main deck number, but you can ride into them by discarding a card in your hand, and you want specific rides. So, starting with the Grade 0, I run Trickstar as my starter. Now, we do have another starter for Dragon Empire that does what everybody else's does. We have the Sunrise Egg here. That when Sunrise Egg is rolled upon, if you go second, you draw a card. Whereas Trickstar doesn't have that skill, so you won't get to draw from doing it. But if you go first, it doesn't matter that you don't get to draw because you weren't going to draw anyway. And secondly, this deck revolves around this card and being able to Soul Blast it out at the beginning, having one that's already in the soul that I can Soul Blast out for my Grade 2 ride. That allows me to get against my Vanguard can call it from drop zone. On my Grade 3 turn, I can consistently have one because, with decks that have specific key pieces, if you don't get multiple, like with him, I need at least 2 of them to make my deck work, and if I don't see 2, then that kind of shuts down. So having this extra, like certain one, I love having, like having the ability to just have a Trickstar available at all times. It's just great. Moving right along, we have here Blaze Maiden Reno, who's our Grade 1. She's only one of in my deck. Her skills are, when this unit is rolled upon by Blaze Maiden Ryu, you can search your deck for 1 Trickstar and call it to the rear guard and shuffle your deck. During your turn, during the battle phase, on Vanguard and rear guard circle, this unit gets plus 2k. So when it attacked. So when it attacks, it becomes a 10k. Okay, we have other really good attackers. We don't really need her for an attack. So just having a 10k Grade 1 on your Grade 1 turn as a Vanguard is not bad. But her real ability is the whole when she's rolled upon by Ryu here, you search for Trickstar, which gets you a guaranteed Trickstar. So not only do I have the guaranteed one that's in the soul that I can call back with my Vanguard skill, I have the one that she'll search out that when I ride her over Reno. Ryu here has been rolled upon by Chakrabarti Divine Dragon Nirvana. You Soul Blast 1, which that's where that Soul Blast for Trickstar comes from. Search your deck for 1 Virina, specifically Virina, not any card with Virina in its name. It's specifically Virina. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. She also has the same ability of Reno. When she swings, she gets plus 2k. She becomes 12 when you attack with her. So that's why I don't really have her in my main deck, because 13, 18, 23, 28, all those numbers, that 3 and 8 numbers are always the good. And if you get below 3 and 8, you're not really hitting a magic number. So to her being 12 doesn't really hit a Vanguard. And it's like, okay, with a booster you could, but you're still not hitting a good number without it. So I only really need her as the 1 Vanguard ride. Lastly, we have the Vanguard himself, Chakrabarti Divine Dragon Nirvana. Its abilities are you can discard 1 card from your hand and call a Grade 0 from your drop zone. And, well, basically, it's that. You discard a card, choose a Grade 0 from your drop, and call it to rear guard. That is the Trickstar. With Ryu's ability to Soul Blast out Trickstar to search for Virina, his ability, I can discard a card and get that Trickstar, and I just Soul Blast it back. So that's why he's there. Also, when he attacks, you can counterblast 1, and all of your units with the Overdress ability get plus 10,000 power in this unit and all your units with him. So when you attack with him, not only does he give himself plus 10k, you also power up any of your rear guards that have the Overdress ability, which will move him right along, which you'll see some more. So moving right along to the main deck, we have 3 copies of Chakrabarti Divine Dragon Nirvana. As you know, they have this symbol here, the Persona Ride symbol. So when you ride a unit with the same name over top of them, you give your front row plus 10,000 power, and and you draw a card. So it's just you draw a card and give your front row plus 10. It's continuous, so that plus 10 will last no matter what card you call there. You will get the plus 10. So just having Nirvana to be able to power, not only does Counterblast want to power up himself and the Overdress units, when you Persona Ride just another +10 to the front row is just great. So yeah, that's why you have to run the extra copies, because you're guaranteed the first ride. The other ones you're going to have to draw into. Moving right along here, we have 4 copies of the big beater himself, Virina Valiente. He has the Overdress ability, so when Nirvana attacks, you can power him up with +10. But when he overdresses over Trickstar. Now, overdressing is the action of overdressing is having a unit on the rearguard circle and basically just calling another card that has the direct card that you need for it under it. So he needs Trickstar or any unit in the overdress state. Overdress state is having a unit under your having a card that's like this. That's the overdress state. Having a unit that is over top of another unit. That's the overdress state. So I can overdress over that. Any of the other ones that are in the overdress state, or Trickstar that's just by himself, and you overdress it, and now it's in the overdress state. So he can do that over anything. While he's in that state, he gets plus 5,000 power for every original dress he has. Original dresses are those cards that are under it, kind of like your soul. That's what an original dress is. So for having 1 Trickstar, he gets plus 5. If you play a unit that like say you play a Valiente over a Trickstar, and you play another Valiente over a Valiente, that's because you have a Valiente under another one and a Trickstar, he'll get plus 10. So you can keep stack it. I have 1 SP here. I don't really care for him, but he's cool because it's SP. But I'm like, I love the triangle aesthetic they have here on the little lightning triangle. But yeah, yeah. And also he also has an ability of when his attack on rearguard, it's all rearguard skills. When his attack of this unit in the overdress state hits, you can counterblast 1, discard a card, and restand it. So just getting another swing out. He's going to be a big attacker because he's already 13. Being in the overdress state over 2 cards makes him 23. Nirvana's skill to give him another plus 10 will make him 33. And if you Persona Rod, that's 43. He's 43 by himself, and if he hits, he's going to restand. That's just guaranteeing another big swing. So you got to discard a card, but make sure you know when to use the skill, because yes, you get another restand, but if that restand isn't going to get you the win, then, or not the win, but just like more pressure to your opponent, they can just go like, I don't care about your restand. You're minusing a card to possibly hit, and it's not that great. Moving along, going to grade 2s, we have regular Virina. This is the Virina that Ryu can search, the only one that Ryu can search. So she searched specifically this card. He overdresses over Trickstar as well. Every overdress unit can overdress over Trickstar. That's kind of the reason we have him. Yeah, so he also has the abilities of when he attacks, if he's in the overdress state, when he attacks a Vanguard specifically, he gets plus 10,000 power and to the end of that battle, and then you can Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So you can swing at the Vanguard for a nice 20k attacker, and then Soul Blast 2 to retire a rear guard. That's pretty good. The deck doesn't build a lot of soul right now unless you Persona Ride, so right now it's like, that skill might happen once per game. If you Persona Ride twice, you'll probably get it a second time. But that's why I really don't use it too much. But it's good to just have that nice, you can have a nice removal card in the deck. Also, because she can search him, because Ryu can search him, you're always guaranteed to have at least 1 overdress card every game. Because even if you don't draw into Virina, even if you don't draw him or Virina Valiente or the next card we're going to be looking at, you're always guaranteed to have 1 because Ryu will search him. So that's good. Yeah, just also having a 20k grade 2 when your opponent's in your first grade 2 turn is good. If you have them in hand, and you can also just go like, okay, I have Virina, I have the Vanguard Nirvana. That's a 30k grade 2 swinging at the opponent. That is so good. The last overdress card in this deck is probably my favorite one. We have Virina Arcs, and he's probably the one you want to see the most of. Virina Arcs also overdresses over Trickstar, as you can see. He is different from the other ones, and I'll get to it why. His skill is when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if it overdresses, you counterblast 1, draw 2 cards from your deck, and it gets plus 5k until the turn. So, out of all of them, he is legit the weakest because Virina Valiente is already 13, and he will hit 18 in overdress, and then 23 if you do it over another card. If you have another card in overdress, you put him over top of it. Regular Virina will go to 20,000 when attacking if he's in the overdress state. This Arcs will only be 15k, but that's not the reason you use him. The ability to counterblast 1 and draw 2 after you overdress, because overdressing is basically you're calling another card over top of another. You're not getting more on the board, you're just getting a better card on the board by playing another card like that. you're not really plussing. But this refunds itself and gets you a draw. So that's really, really good. And not only that, it lets you go through your deck faster. And the thing you'll notice a lot of times is because he's only 15k, Nirvana can make him 25. You're probably going to do him early and then have him in the overdress state now. And let's say like you're doing this and he's already he's 15k on the turn you use him, and afterwards he just becomes 10. That's the thing that's different. The next turn after you overdress, Valiente will keep his power, because Valiente's power bonus is also during both players' turns. So he'll always be 23 or 18 on both players' turn. With regular Virina, when he attacks, he'll always get that plus 10 as long as you have him in overdress state. But the problem with Varks here is like after the turn you overdress him, he goes to a 10k, just flat 10k. So when you swing with him the next turn, he'll just be 10k, and then Nirvana could make him 20, but that's not a big number. So what you normally will do is, after the turn you overdress him and he's just still chilling there, you'll probably on your next turn overdress Valiente over him, because now he has 2 original dresses. This wasn't being used for anything, just being another unit. So now it's a bigger unit. It's literally him evolving. As you see the lightning, they're both lightning based, whereas regular Virina is fire based. So you can see like he's supposed to evolve over Arcs here. That's his mint. But no, Arcs is still a good card. Arcs is still a great card. He's my favorite in the deck just because that draw too is like comes in handy often, just to be able to go through your deck really fast and just push numbers because of just early aggression and drawing. It's just really good. Also, depending on what your hand is like, I would say like take damage or not. So if you start your turn and you're going into your grade 2 turn and you ride Ryu, if you already had a Virina in hand and you want to overdress it, regular Virina, you would probably early guard because you don't need counterblast. But if you have Arcs in your hand, I'd say take the first hit, because you're going to overdress it over the Trickstar you search for Ryu and guarantee 2 draws. So that's really good. Moving along, the last grade 2 in the deck is an order card here. We have Burn Bright Pure Prayers. I run 2 copies of it. Burn Bright Pure Prayers is an order. It's a blitz order. Blitz orders can only be played when you would be able to guard. So regular orders can be played when you would normal call, when you're able to normal call, so during your main phase before you start attacking. Blitz orders can only be played when you're about to guard you on your opponent's turn. Burn Bright Pure Prayers says, if your damage zone has 3 or more cards, you can choose one of your units and it gets plus 15,000 to the end of that battle. So it's literally a trigger. It's literally like guarding with a trigger. It's a 15k shield pretty much. It's not a shield, but it's a power bonus to make it a 15k shield. You only can play 1 blitz order a turn, which is why I don't run more copies of it, because if you see multiple of this in your hand, you're not able to use them all in one like defensive turn. So you're just like, okay, I have keep the one and be like, all right, I'll have a 15k shield if I need it. If you don't need it, it's a good card, because for, like I told you earlier, for discarding for your ride deck, you need to discard something. This could be a nice pitch because you might see triggers, you might not. You might hold on. You want to hold on to this. This is the card you want to probably hold on to, but if you don't have any other options, this is a good card to discard. Moving on to grade 1s, we have one of my favorite grade 1s in the deck, but it's very simple. It's not an amazing card, but I love it. Is Extremist Dragon Velocihazard. It's a grade 1. Grade 1, its only ability is on rearguard circle, when it boosts, it gets plus 2k. So it turns an 8k boost into a 10k boost, which eats a nice number, because if you swing at your opponent with Nirvana or Valiente, you're swinging at them for 20, you're swinging at them for 13, 23 after you use your Nirvana skill. If this is boosting them, or any grade 1 is boosting them, they'll hit 31, and you're like, okay, 31 is cool. It's or 21, and you're like, that's okay, but that's still like a 10k shield, which is like, okay, a 10k could guard it. Because that extra plus 2 is there, it hits you to 23 or 33, which means they have to drop more cards to guard for that attack. Having a 10k booster behind units that are already going to swing big just gives them another plus 10 to basically their attack, which is why I love it. It turns like it can turn your 43k attack from a Valiente that's has 2 original dresses is plus 10 from Nirvana's skill, plus 10 from Persona Riding, and then this as a plus 10k booster turns into a 53k attacker, and that's just amazing. So I love having him. Later on he might come out of the deck, but for right now I love having him just as a nice clean booster. Another card I run 2 copies of is 2 copies of Stealth Dragon Tinchestead. Tinchestead here is grade 1. His ability is when the attack that this unit boosted hit, you can counterblast 1, retire this unit, choose one of your Vanguards, search your deck for a card with the same name as that unit, and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. The only reason I have him it's for Persona riding consistency. You want a Persona ride. You don't need to because your numbers are already big, but just to guarantee a nice big number, you might want to get your Persona ride. So having this is just a booster. Another thing that's really threatening is if you say you had 2 Valientes on your rearguard circle, and this is your Vanguard, and you call this behind this, Valiente has an on-hit skill, and this has an on-hit skill. So all 3 of your attacks could get you another card. This could get you another Persona ride for the turn after, or Valiente can get you another attack as a restand. Altogether, just having all that on-hit pressure on your board is just to be able to go like, if you take one of these attacks, I'm getting something out of it. I only run 2 copies of them because that counterblast is kind of heavy. The deck uses a lot of counterblast, and you really just want to use the counterblast for Nirvana or arcs to draw to. Valientes is cool when you want to if you have the option to restand, but most times I don't use it. And in this guy Tinch instead, if I see him, he is a plus if I want to get it off, but most of the times I usually don't. He'll be the discard target or just a nice like booster just in case I want to let my opponent think I want to get a counterblast. Like I'll swing with this, having this boosted, and they'll be like, oh, he wants to get a Persona ride. And sometimes I'm like, I really don't care. I just want you to drop cards to guard it. So he's a good card. I like having him right now. The last great one in the deck is 4 copies of Twin Buckler Dragon. He is our perfect guard, as you know in... Let me switch this because I like having my SP on top. But as you know in D-Series, we have perfect guards, grade 1 perfect guards, again, no draw PGs. So Twin Buckler Dragon is a perfect guard. You discard a card from your hand to nullify an opponent's attack when you place it on a Guardian Circle. Another skill that a lot of these Sentinel have, these perfect guards, the new skill, is if your hand is, after playing them, if your hand is less than 2 cards, well, less than 2 cards, yes. I'm sorry to say that. Let me actually read the effect because it's better to just say it. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle. That's the perfect guard. If your hand has 2 or more cards in your hand, choose a card from your hand to discard it. So, when this card is placed, you automatically nullify the attack. That is the thing. Unlike the other perfect guards, they say cost, discard a card from your hand to nullify it. He on place nullifies the attacks. The thing is, after you do this, if you have 2 or more cards in your hand, you're forced to discard a card. But if you have only 1 card in your hand, you don't have to discard anything. So a lot of times you're just like, okay, I have a big hand. So you have a like 6 card hand maybe, and you have to stop 3 attacks. 1 attack is really big. You drop your triggers and other cards in your hand to guard it, and that's okay. You guard that one. These are the only 2 cards in your hand. You guard with this one to perfect guard the attack. Because you only have one or fewer cards in your hand, you don't have to discard, so that just nullifies that attack. And then you play this one because you don't have to discard for it, and you get nullify another attack. You can save yourself like that. Also, another thing you can do is like say like you have your hand again, and it's like in a situation like this where you want to keep a card in your hand for guaranteed plays next turn. Well, you guard all of your opponent's attacks, and they have 1 more attack left. You perfect guard it. I'm sorry about the let it focus, but you perfect guard it. Because you only have 1 of your cards, you don't have to discard, so you can save this card for the next turn that you're guaranteed going to Persona ride and try to win, or like a key piece like a Valiente or a regular Virina or anything you might need to just try to help you push for game next turn. You can hold on to it because it's the last card in your hand. Last card in the deck before we get to triggers is just easily 3 more copies of Trickstar, because Trickstar is again the most important card in the deck, and you think about it, because all the art cards have to overdress over them. Because of that, you can't just have the one from your ride deck, or the one that you're, if you're not running them, you're running Sunrise Egg, but either way, having 4 Trickstar in the deck guarantees, like, you'll guarantee the search one, you have the one that's in your ride deck, and then you'll draw into the other 2, maybe eventually in the game. So just having more Trickstars, just have another card. Another thing about Trickstar is, I didn't go over his skill, because on Rearguard Circle, which the one in the ride deck won't get, this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So having these on the board just as 5k boosters is fine, because you hit magic numbers with it. Like, magic numbers are any number that makes your opponent have to drop 5k extra shield. If you swing with a 13k Vanguard, they can just drop a 5k and stop it. But if you boost it with a 5k Trickstar, they have to drop a 10k. Same thing with going up by numbers, just by 5, 5, 5, 5. Having another 5k booster isn't bad, and also playing against decks like Prison, because one downside to this deck is another downside to overdressing. Any card that's overdressed, if something happens to the overdressed card, wherever it goes, this goes. So if somebody retires this, both of these go to drop zone. If somebody puts this into your soul, both of these will go to the soul. If somebody puts this into the bottom of your deck, both of these will go to the bottom of the deck. And the most important one, if somebody's playing the prison deck with the Aurora Battle Princesses, if they take this in the Overdress state, they both go. They get 2 cards for the price of 1. That is the downside to Overdress. But having a Trick Star just as a booster limits the number of cards they can take, because they can't take your Trick Stars because they have the ability cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So you just sit there like, I have 5k boosters that you'll never be able to touch. It's just a nice, cool, just consistent, just having Trick Star. He's a good card on his own, but just the ability to evolve into a new evolution is just amazing. Moving on to triggers, which is going to finish up this video real quick. I run 4 copies of Conduct Spark Dragon. It's a critical trigger. You want to crit your opponent. You want to hit them with damage. So not only are these the only 4 crits we run, we also run 4 copies of Blaze Maiden Zone. She is also a crit. Run 8 crits in this deck because you want to crit your opponent. You want to have threatening swings. You want them to fear every dragon attacking them. Moving along, the cutest card in the deck, the cutest card in Dragon Empire IMO is White Light Dragon Parasolis. He is our heal trigger. Run 4 copies of him. 3 of them are foil. I need 1 more to make him all foil, or hollowed. But I just love him. He is adorable. He's a heal trigger. You know, heal triggers. You know, if your damage is equal or more than your opponent, you heal 1. But he's so adorable. Just look at him. I love him. 4 copies of him because you want to heal. Next triggers we run 3 draw triggers. We run Rushing Dragon Steel Diafolo. As you know about me, I love Tachikaze. I don't know if y'all knew this, but Tachikaze is my home, so I just love dinosaurs. So whenever I can run them, that's why pretty much I was so happy to put Velocihazard at 4 because I just love him. But anyway, draw trigger, 5k shield. He is probably the one card you're going to probably want to pitch for anything is going to be him. If you want to pitch a card for Nirvana, if you want to pitch a card for the Ride deck, if you want to pitch a card for Valiente hitting, he is your go-to card to ditch because he's just a 5k shield. But having that extra draw, when you drive check, you'll see a draw and be like, okay, that's power and an extra card in hand. So 3 copies of him. Last trigger in the deck is our big boy. You see his picture right here on the mat. We have the Dragon Deity of Resurgence, Dragveda. He is our overtrigger for Dragon Empire. As you know, an overtrigger grants 100 million power to whatever unit you get when you see it. You also draw a card. The card is removed from play after you trigger check it as a drive or a damage trigger. So if you hit as a damage trigger, it removes itself from the game. So it's basically a heal. If you hit as a drive trigger, it's 100 million to a unit all the time. But there's also, if you hit as a drive trigger, you get an additional effect. And Dragon Empire's additional effect right here for Dragveda is you choose one of your Vanguards and you stand it. So you swing with Nirvana. Hitting this when you have Nirvana and Valiente on the board is just amazing because Valiente needs to hit. You can give the 100 million power to Valiente, and Valiente will be a big beater that they have to perfect guard. Also swinging with a Vanguard and go like, okay, I swing with Nirvana, twin drive, hit whatever trigger or any non-trigger, hit this, okay, cool, draw another card, restand Nirvana, and Nirvana swings again, you twin drive again, adding 2 more cards to your hand, and then you have a big Valiente on the board that if it hits, it's going to stand again, and it's 100 million. The only way they can stop it is a perfect guard. So just, this card, I love it. A lot of people are like, Dragon Empire has one of the weakest overtrades, but just being able to restand your Vanguard is really strong. Show the other ones, oh, give all your rear guards drive checks, and your Vanguard gets a crit until the end of the game, and it's just like, that's cool and all, but just the pressure of being like, Vanguard swing, it's just amazing. Also, with the future deck of Overlord, just being able to have a Vanguard that could probably restand 3 times, amazing. But, yeah, that's gonna be my deck that's it for my deck profile. Love you guys, love Vanguard again, love playing this deck, having my partner here as my boy Nirvana and his little form of Trickstar. I just love them. They look amazing. Nirvana of Irina was what I imagined if a main character ever got a we ever got a Dragon Empire main character. This is what I imagined. He looks like a hero from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like he could be like a elemental hero from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and it just looks like, yes, this is what I wanted from Dragon Empire. This is what I wanted. We also have Irina Elgar coming, another evolution. We have Irina X-Spectre coming later this year. It's going to be another evolution. It's just like, he is the different elements. I love it. He's thunder. Like right now we have lightning, thunder, and and fire, and then next set we get water, and the set after that we get wind, and it's just like, I want all of them. Earth, darkness, light, whatever, man. Smoke, I don't know. Poison, we'll see. But I just like this deck right here, just having these guys. Like, it's even weirder to say, because that's the whole idea, is that this is the Vanguard, but I love these guys more. Just him as, like, he is the means to an end. But I've been rambling on long enough, guys. How do you like this video? I hope you love the deck profile. More to come, and as always, Striders out.